Army units inflict heavy losses on terrorists and regain control on Al Jusiya and Homs. Al-Jafari renews Syria's support of building a world free of threats or the use of force. The People's Assembly condemns 2 Kuwaiti MPs for entering Syria illegally. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our news for today. The UN envoy to Syria, Al-Akhdar al-Ibrahimi, has reiterated that the solution in Syria stems from the Syrians themselves and that his mission is based on Kofi Annan's plan and the Geneva Agreement. In a press interview in Beirut today, al-Ibrahimi said, "We are talking with all sides in order to stop the bloodshed." Al-Ibrahimi affirmed that solving the crisis in Syria depends on the Syrians themselves, as they are the first and last side responsible. There is also the possibility of offering an international assistance by the UN. He referred to the interest of neighboring states in solving the crisis. About his proposal regarding a truce during Al-Adha Eid, al-Ibrahimi said, "The Syrian government has responded positively to the proposal, and if the opposition did the same, the step would be very short towards a ceasefire." Our army has continued to pursue armed terrorist groups in several areas, killing dozens of them and destroying terrorist cars and headquarters. In Aleppo, our armed forces targeted a terrorist headquarters in Al-Sakhur, destroying a pickup car provided with a Doshka machine gun and killing 4 terrorists, including a foreigner. They carried out a similar operation in Beidin Square, destroying 3 cars equipped with machine guns and a stolen vehicle, including the terrorists therein. In Idlib, an army unit killed an armed terrorist group in the western suburbs of Marret Hatat. They also eliminated a terrorist gathering in Basira in the governorate's suburbs, as well as in Al-Shughur and Bdama in Jisr al-Shughur, destroying a car and killing all the terrorists inside. On Al-Ma'arra al-Hisiya road in the governorate's suburbs. In Homs, security has been restored to Jusiya and Al-Aqsir suburbs after our army forces eliminated dozens of terrorists and dismantled a number of explosive devices. In the governorate of Hama, an army unit destroyed a car carrying an armed terrorist group and killed 4 gunmen. The army also captured 3 terrorists in Masoud village in Hama countryside. In the resort, an army unit destroyed a booby-trapped car which was prepared by terrorists behind Ashtar clothes shop in Al-Jubayliyah neighborhood. Our armed forces also eliminated a number of terrorists north of the area's park in the same neighborhood. In Damascus countryside, an army unit targeted an armed terrorist group in Jisrin town in eastern Ghouta, killing dozens, including terrorist Muhammad Walid and Nabki. The army also eliminated an armed group in Shifuniya town, killing and wounding dozens, including terrorist Ahmad Khayba and Khalid al-Dirani. Meanwhile, 16 citizens who got involved in the recent events in the country and did not commit murder were released in Damascus countryside. A source in the province said that the citizens were released after pledging not to take up weapons again or commit any act that might undermine Syria's security. Syria's permanent representative to the United Nations, Dr. Bashar al-Jafari, has stressed Syria's full support for the world tendency to build an international community that is free from using or threatening to use force, whether nuclear or traditional. He affirmed that providing Israel with all kinds of weapons of mass destruction by the big powers will neither help build up peace nor set up a region free of nuclear arms.
Delivering Syria's statement at the UN General Assembly's First Committee on Disarmament and International Security Affairs, Syria's permanent representative to the United Nations, Dr. Bashar al-Ja'fari, reiterated Syria's belief in the right of all the signatories of the Nuclear Arms Non-Proliferation Treaty to get nuclear technology and use it for peaceful purposes in cooperation with the International Agency for Nuclear Energy. Al-Ja'fari pointed out that most world countries are looking forward to the success of the special conference on rendering the Middle East an area free of nuclear arms and of all weapons of mass destruction, due to be held late this year in Finland. However, Israel's declaration at the General Conference of the International Agency for Atomic Energy last month, he added, confirms its intention to render the conference unsuccessful. Therefore, Dr. al-Ja'fari went on, it should be pressured to take part in the conference, as it is the only country in our region that possesses nuclear arms, and must be pushed to join the Nuclear Arms Non-Proliferation Treaty in order to safeguard international peace and security. Al-Ja'fari said Syria is currently witnessing painful events as a result of the terrorist acts perpetrated by armed extremist organizations and mercenaries who cross the borders using unlimited criminal methods on the basis of takfiri and extremist fatwas issued by inciters living in Arab regional and foreign states. He pointed out that some Arab regional and international states are offering facilities to the terrorist groups to carry out their crimes in Syria. Al-Ja'fari called on the UN General Assembly members to be committed to international agreements and to stop smuggling weapons across the borders from neighboring states to Syria.
The People's Assembly has condemned the infiltration into Syrian territories by the Kuwaiti National Assembly members Walid al-Tabatabai and Jum'an al-Harrish illegally across Turkish borders on the 7th of last September to work on spreading sedition among the Syrian people. The Assembly voiced keenness on maintaining the best relations with the Kuwaiti National Assembly and develop them in service of the two people's aspirations. In a statement, the People's Assembly said it would have been better for the Kuwaiti National Assembly to send a delegation through official channels to be briefed on the reality of the situation in Syria. Meanwhile, the Assembly referred a draft law ratifying the agreement signed in Moscow on August the 3rd, 2012 between Syria and the International Center for Geopolitical Analysis and Trade Cooperation in Moscow to establish a joint center for bilateral geopolitical, trade, economic, scientific, technological and financial cooperation to the Arab and Foreign Affairs and Planning Production Committees for consideration. In occupied Palestine, the resistance retaliated to the ongoing Israeli aggression against the Palestinian people by firing a rocket targeting south of occupied Palestine, causing huge material damage and spreading panic among the Israeli settlers. On the West Bank, the occupation authorities launched a storming campaign of a number of villages in Nablus, Al-Khalil, Ramallah and Tulkarm, detaining 8 Palestinians. In Turkey, 3 soldiers were killed and another was wounded during clashes in Hakkari province, southeast of the country. Turkish sources affirm that gunmen attacked Izkli police center and Gaziantep base in Jokorja, southeast of the country, using machine guns and rocket-propelled grenades. Finally, and in our local news, the activities of choosing lottery cards for Damascus International Fair started today at Damascus International Fairground. The exhibition included 350 artistic works by famous Syrian painters. The General Director of Damascus International Fair Company affirmed that the competition, which dates back to 2001, is an opportunity for artists to present their works, pointing out that 52 paintings will be picked up in harmony with the number of weeks in one single year. With this, we conclude our news bulletin for today. For more information about Syria and the region, and if you want to view our bulletin again, you can visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. Up next, the latest business and market news with Merriman after the break.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Minister of Industry Dr. Adnan Al-Sukhni discussed with the board of the Syrian Center for Accreditation Services the mechanisms of forming the advisory committees as well as the possibilities of finding national laboratories for accreditation that would meet the demand. Minister Al-Sukhni underlined the importance of accreditation for both the producer and the consumer so that a suitable product of high qualities would reach the consumer, and this is important for the imports and for the national products that will be exported. The Syrian Central Bank has set some new mechanisms to sell the foreign currencies of US dollars and euros for non-commercial purposes. According to this decision issued last Sunday, the foreign currencies will be sold for some specific reasons, such as traveling to foreign countries except Turkey. In this case, $3,000 will be sold, while $1,000 to be sold in case of traveling to Arab countries except Lebanon and Jordan. And in both cases, the foreign currencies will be delivered in cash. Regarding the tuition fees abroad, they do not exceed $12,000. The maximum student's expenses do not exceed $1,000 per month to be transferred to his bank account abroad exclusively by his parents. Meanwhile, the costs of the treatment abroad are specified by $10,000 maximum. As for the highest selling rate for saving purposes, it has reached $5,000 or euros only once a year. Under the decision, the selling amount should not exceed $10,000 a month or the equivalent value from other foreign countries. Director General of the Foreign Trade Establishment, Mohammed Hammoud, asserted that the establishment is seriously studying the sales so that they can go faithfully. He also pointed out that when the evaluation results appear, the establishment will take appropriate measures and it will cancel its decision if it's not for its interest, taking into account the financial needs of the sales. Mr. Hammoud also asserted the importance of importing all the material imported by the private sector of different kinds of goods, including medicine and tires. The General Establishment of Roads is carrying out 3 projects for the maintenance of the central roads in Tartus, Latakia and Sueda. The total value of the projects is estimated at 150 million Syrian pounds, while another 50 million pounds is assigned for the maintenance of roads in Homs Governorate. Director General of the General Establishment of Roads, Youssef Hammoud, said that the plan was put to rehabilitate the main roads, including technical maintenance to get those roads to service according to the international specifications and standards. Asian stocks rose today on better than expected earnings from U.S. corporate giants and growing speculation that Spain was finally ready to ask for financial aid. Japan's Nikkei 225 rose 1.3% and South Korea's Kospi added 0.8%. On Wall Street, meanwhile, stocks rose on higher than expected third quarter earnings for Goldman Sachs and several other blue chips. Gold prices are expected to decline in the forthcoming days after reaching 3,600 Syrian pounds per gram. The decline is due to expected dealings in the global market. Some gold dealers say that the limited dips in gold prices last week, which ranged between 70 and 100 Syrian pounds, didn't help in attracting buyers, as more declines are expected to reach the levels that prevailed last July.